Working as a department store Santa isn't glamorous, but it pays the bills. It's not exactly my dream job, but it's steady, and during the holiday season, steady is all I can ask for. I've done it for the past 3 years at the same mall, donning the red suit and fake beard while kids rattle off their Christmas wishes. Their parents smile politely, snap a few photos, and move along. Most of the time, it's uneventful. This year, though, something feels different. It started small, a strange vibe in the air, a slight tension I couldn't quite put my finger on. And then came the notes. The first one appeared in the donation box a week ago, scribbled on a scrap of paper. The city must be cleansed. At first, I thought it was a joke, maybe left by a bored teenager. I laughed it off, tossed it in the trash, and went about my day. But I couldn't ignore the chill it left behind. A few days later, another note showed up. This one read, "You'll understand soon." I frowned as I read it, turning it over in my hands as if the other side might hold a clue. But it was blank. The handwriting was sharp and jagged, like whoever wrote it had been in a hurry or angry. I glanced around, half expecting to catch someone watching me, but the mall was as busy as ever. Parents chased after toddlers, teenagers lounged by the food court, and the holiday music blared overhead. I stuffed the note in my pocket and tried to shake it off. I told myself it didn't mean anything, but the words lingered. By the end of my shift, I was checking over my shoulder every few minutes, my skin crawling with an unease I couldn't explain. That night, I sat in my small apartment, the note lying on the coffee table. I couldn't stop staring at it. The words felt heavier now, as if they were pressing down on me, demanding my attention. I thought about calling the police, but what would I even say? "Hi, someone left me a creepy note in a mall donation box." They'd laugh me off the phone. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe I was just overreacting. I turned on the TV, trying to distract myself, but every sound from outside, the creak of the floor above me, the wind rattling the window, set me on edge. I didn't sleep much that night. The next morning I headed to the mall early, determined to put it all behind me. But as soon as I stepped into the Santa set, I knew it wasn't over. Another note was waiting for me. This one was different. It wasn't folded or hidden inside the donation box. It was taped to the back of the Santa throne, as if whoever left it wanted to make sure I saw it. "Do you see the truth yet?" My stomach dropped. I ripped it down, glancing around to see if anyone was watching. But the mall was still waking up. Only a handful of employees were milling about, setting up their displays. I stuffed the note in my pocket and tried to focus on my shift. The kids didn't notice my distracted smiles, and the parents didn't notice my shaky hands. But inside, I was spiraling. Someone was trying to get my attention, and I had no idea why. By the time my shift ended, I was exhausted, my mind buzzing with questions. Who was doing this, and what did they want from me? I decided to stick around after my shift, lingering by the donation box as if that might give me some answers. The mall was bustling with holiday shoppers, their laughter and chatter blending into a chaotic hum. No one seemed out of place, but then again, how would I know? I thought about the notes, their cryptic messages hinting at something bigger, something I couldn't see. Was it random? Or had someone chosen me for a reason? I waited until the crowd thinned out before heading to the back hallways of the mall. They were quieter, dimmer, the kind of places most shoppers didn't bother to explore. As I turned a corner, I heard a sound, a faint rustling, like paper being crumpled. My heart raced as I followed the noise, my footsteps echoing in the empty hall. When I rounded the next corner, there was nothing. Just an empty hallway and silence. The next morning, I woke up to a fresh wave of dread. I told myself the note was a prank, a joke meant to scare me into paying attention to the donation box. But deep down, I knew better. The words weren't random. They were purposeful, and whoever wrote them knew exactly how unsettling they'd be. At the mall, I went through the motions of my Santa routine, greeting kids and handing out candy canes, all the while feeling like someone was watching me. During a lull, I slipped away to check the donation box again. My heart sank as I saw another note, folded neatly and placed on top of a handful of coins. This time it read, "Some people don't deserve the joy of the season. You'll see." I crumpled the note in my fist, trying to keep my hands from shaking. Who was doing this, and why had they chosen me? By the time my shift ended, my nerves were fried. I debated showing the notes to the police, but decided against it. What could I tell them? That someone was leaving cryptic messages in a donation box? It felt flimsy, like the kind of thing they'd laugh off. Instead, I stuffed the notes in my pocket and headed to the break room. The other employees chatted about holiday plans, their voices a comforting hum that almost drowned out my unease. Almost. Just as I was about to leave, the mall manager poked his head in. "Hey Alex, we're short on parking attendants tonight. Any chance you can help out for a couple of hours?" I wanted to say no, but the desperation in his eyes made me agree. Anything to keep busy and get my mind off the notes. I grabbed a reflective vest and headed to the parking lot. The lot was quiet, the kind of eerie silence that makes every little sound feel magnified. I stood near the entrance, waving cars through and glancing at my watch every few minutes. The sooner this shift ended, the better. A little after 9, I noticed a man loitering near the stairwell. He wasn't doing anything suspicious, but something about him felt off. I kept an eye on him as he disappeared into the stairwell, his movements deliberate, almost purposeful. A few minutes later, a woman walked by, her arms full of shopping bags. She headed toward the same stairwell. I don't know why I followed her. Maybe it was intuition, or maybe I was just on edge from the notes. Either way, I found myself climbing the stairs, my footsteps echoing in the enclosed space. That's when I saw her, crumpled on the landing, her bag spilled around her, and she wasn't moving. I froze, my breath catching in my throat. For a moment, I thought she might have fallen, that maybe she was unconscious. But as I stepped closer, I saw the blood pooling beneath her. It wasn't an accident. My stomach churned and I stumbled back, nearly tripping over my own feet. I fumbled for my phone and called 911, my voice shaking as I tried to explain what I'd found. The police arrived quickly, their flashing lights illuminating the dark stairwell. They questioned me, asked if I'd seen anything suspicious. I told them about the man who'd gone in earlier, but I didn't mention the notes. I wasn't sure why. Maybe I thought it wasn't connected, or maybe I was afraid they wouldn't believe me. Either way, as I watched them cordon off the area, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. When I got home that night, I couldn't sleep. The image of the woman in the stairwell was burned into my mind. I kept replaying the moment I saw her, wondering if I could have done something to stop it. But how could I? I didn't even know her. She was just a stranger who happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Or was she? The notes came back to me, their words now laced with a sinister weight. Some people don't deserve the joy of the season. Was this what the writer meant? Had they planned this? And if so, why involve me? My phone buzzed, pulling me out of my thoughts. It was a text from an unknown number. "Do you see now? The city needs cleansing." My heart pounded as I stared at the screen. Whoever this was, they weren't done, not by a long shot. For the next few days, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Every time I put on the Santa suit, the fake beard itched more than usual, as if it were trying to warn me to stay away. The kids came and went, oblivious to my growing unease. The mall buzzed with holiday cheer, but it felt like a facade. The notes had stopped, but that only made me more anxious. The killer wasn't done. I was sure of it. Late one evening, as I was closing up the Santa set, I spotted someone lingering by the donation box. They were tall and wore a hood, their face obscured. My stomach tightened. I froze, unsure whether to confront them or call for security. But before I could act, they melted into the crowd. When I checked the box later, there was a new note waiting for me. The note was short but chilling. Sometimes people need a reminder of what's right. You see it too, don't you? I didn't know what they meant, but the words clung to me like a bad dream. I thought about going to the police again, but after how dismissive they'd been, I hesitated. Detective Moore didn't seem to believe me, and the last thing I needed was more scrutiny. So I kept the note and went home, replaying the moment in my head. Who were they? Why did they care what I thought? The next morning, the mall was in chaos. Rumors spread that a shoplifter had been caught overnight, but when I asked the security guard, his face turned pale. Not just a shoplifter, he muttered. A guy was found dead in the parking garage. My blood ran cold. The garage was eerily silent when I arrived. Shadows stretched across the concrete, and every sound echoed like a gunshot. I waited by the designated spot, my nerves on edge. Then I heard it, a soft shuffle of footsteps. "You came," the voice said. It was the same distorted tone from the phone call. A figure stepped out of the shadows, their face obscured by a hood. "You don't understand yet, but you will." They tossed something at my feet, a piece of paper, and disappeared before I could react. I picked up the note, my hands shaking. It was a list of names, including mine. The list haunted me all the way home. It wasn't long, 5 names, including mine, scrawled in jagged handwriting. Each name had a brief description. Nathan Moore, a corrupt landlord. Eileen Carter, a fraudulent charity CEO. Daniel Torres, a repeat petty thief. Clara Jenkins, a suspected drug dealer. And then at the bottom, me, Santa. No explanation, no reason, just that one word. I spread the notes across my kitchen table, the list in the center, trying to make sense of it all. Why was I included? The others might fit into some twisted sense of judgment, but what had I done? My thoughts churned as I stayed up through the night, researching the other names. Nathan had lawsuits against him for unsafe housing. Eileen had been accused of embezzling charity funds. Daniel was a petty criminal, and Clara's name floated in whispers about drug deals. They were all flawed, yes, but murder? And what about me? I called Detective Moore the next evening, laying out everything. The meeting in the garage, the hooded figure, and the list. Her voice was tight with frustration. "Alex, you should have told me about this earlier. You're lucky they didn't hurt you." I felt a twinge of guilt. "I know, but now you have the list, right? You can stop them?" She didn't sound convinced. "We'll do what we can, but you need to stay safe. Don't go back to the mall. Stay home, lock your doors, and keep your phone close." Her caution made sense, but it didn't ease the knot in my chest. Staying home wouldn't stop the killer. They wanted something from me. This wasn't random. The mall manager called the next day asking why I missed my shift. "The kids are asking for Santa." The absurdity of normalcy amidst this chaos almost made me laugh. "I just need a few days," I mumbled. By evening, I couldn't sit still. The list lingered in my thoughts. The killer was escalating, and I couldn't ignore the sinking feeling that they'd act again soon. I grabbed my jacket and the list, deciding to visit the first name, Nathan Moore, the landlord. His office wasn't far from the mall, so I walked, my nerves on edge. The building was dark, and the front door was locked, but I noticed a side alley leading to the back. My stomach churned as I approached the rear entrance, slightly ajar. Stepping inside, I found the office in chaos, papers scattered, drawers emptied. It didn't look like a robbery. It looked like someone searching for something specific. My pulse quickened when I saw a figure crouched near a filing cabinet. "Hey," I shouted, my voice shaky. The figure turned, their hood obscuring their face, and bolted past me. I stumbled back, too slow to stop them. When the police arrived, Detective Moore's expression darkened as I recounted the encounter. "You said they didn't speak to you this time?" she asked. "No, but they were looking for something," I replied. "They're planning something. I know it. She sighed, her tone edging toward exasperation. Alex, I told you to stay out of this. You're putting yourself in danger. I didn't argue. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was already too deep. The next morning, the news confirmed my fears. Nathan Moore had been found dead in his home. I stared at the TV, my stomach knotting as the anchor described the scene. Another life taken, another unchecked escalation. Then my phone buzzed with a message. One down. Are you ready to take the next step? I dropped the phone, my hands trembling. They weren't going to stop. Not until the list was finished. Not until they got to me. And I realized with a sinking certainty that if I wanted to survive this, I'd have to find them first. And I sure in hell will. If you enjoyed this New York City Killscape and its naughty list, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell for more. A new Killscape is on the way.